Good evening, and welcome to the Black Powder Podcast. I am your host, Marcus Matthews, the only real libertarian, coming from an undisclosed location in sunny Southern California where it was 85 degrees here today. It was ridiculously hot. And I am joined by at least one partially warm weather brother in Tub from Jacksonville, Florida, Duval County. How you doing, Tub?
All right, are we giving weather updates? Because it was like 75 here today.
I don't
that's
care.
nice. Sunny.
Sunny, yep. Yeah. Actually, at one point, I went and sat on the front porch of the church and just sat out there. There's a little bit of breeze in the shade. It actually wasn't bad to be in Florida today.
I would have called the cops on you.
And our church is in a predominantly black neighborhood, too.
Especially because of that. I would have called the cops on you. I said there's a
crackhead.
There's a potential
I wonder how
shooter.
many people driving by think it's a black church, Tub.
All the time, because the church that was there before us was a black church.
Okay, do they show up and it's like all white people when they leave?
Yeah, so I didn't even think about they're like, wait, that guy's breaking in. You know, like, no.
Shout out to our boy Joe. Joe, I wouldn't brag about that, Joe. I honestly wouldn't.
Hey, Joe and I chopped it up earlier today in a Spaces. So what's up, Joe?
Spaces? What the hell is Spaces?
It's on Twitter, man. I've been doing my thing.
Okay.
Yes, whatever. Did you do one today?
Mm-hmm.
Did you do one today also?
Yeah, at 6 p.m.
Well, it was pretty good.
Yep. This one was all right. Oh, yeah, I'm going solo, baby.
Well, bye. I will move you from the podcast right now, bro.
I'm like Method Man. You know what I mean? I'm going solo.
I was on that space, too. Get me out also. Kick us all out.
No,
actually,
shout out to Joe.
Yeah. By the way, that's Eric Parker, our other co-host from North Kakalaki. I think he's somewhere in Appalachia in a log cabin with family members. We know how that goes down in Appalachia. So we're not going to get into too much of that today.
I'm not in Appalachia. I'm in the foothills. But, yep. And it was 650s today, high 50s, something like that. I don't know.
That's nice. Yeah. That's nice.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's nice for you people, because I'm of tropical descent. You people love that stuff.
Marcus, do you even own a jacket? Like, Marcus, do you own a real jacket?
Dude, I honestly, I can tell you this. I haven't worn any of my so-called winter jackets in probably 2 to 3 years.
I haven't worn any, technically in 18 years. And when I did it 18 years ago, it was only for a few days. So I went to Connecticut and I needed it. Other than that, they sit here in a storage box and I don't use them at all.
Yeah. The coldest place I've been to recently was Nashville in 2022, where it actually snowed, and I didn't know what to do with myself because I've been in snow, but it melted when the sun came up. It was actually snow, and it was amazing. I was like, wow, this is what you people deal with?
Snow's horrible. I miss the cold. I miss the cold, but I don't miss the snow at all. And look at Joe. What's a jacket?
Yeah.
So this is the Black Powder Podcast year-end show where we like to recap from a libertarian perspective, because this is the only true libertarian podcast that has ever existed in the history of mankind. Unequivocally libertarian, no compromise with the duopoly.
Other than all the Republican guests we've had on.
Except for them.
Yeah. Well, we technically, before you guys arrived, I had a Democrat on here that ran for office here in California. Hardcore liberal dude.
I'm just kidding.
And it was very interesting because he, like the Republicans, he had some good ideas, but we can't. In Washington, they don't work on good ideas anymore. That's the way it used to be. Now it's about how can we scare the ever-living daylights out of Americans to vote for us and keep that power. And that's what I find disgusting from a libertarian perspective about, I struggle with that with my ebonics when I said perspective right now, because it should be perspective.
Last cycle during the Democrat primary debates and stuff, and Tulsi Gabbard was up there. And I was watching it, of course. And I told my wife then, I said, she's not going to last. And she's like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And I said, because she's making too much sense. She's willing to kind of speak against and make some points in there that weren't bad. And I go, they're not going to keep her. They're going to run her off just as fast as they can. And they did.
Yeah. And that's what's sad, that we can't have this public discourse. Now, I want to give a little background. Eric has no idea who I'm about to talk about. But when I was a kid, I was a weird kid that watched the news, and specifically the national news, and with Peter Jennings, because Peter Jennings was just a dude. And when they would get to the political segment, he would talk about how Democrats and Republican senators would go to dinner and to the bar after a congressional session, hammer out a deal, come back the next day, and they would have stuff that they could move forward in a bipartisan fashion without bashing the ever living crap out of each other. And I'm not saying things got done, because this was during the Reagan and Bush era, Bush 1 era back in the 80s. And they added on debt like everybody else. They took away freedoms like everybody else. But at least there was this common denominator about moving the country forward in whatever aspect you ever want to rationalize that part of moving us forward.
There needs to be more of going down the hall and talking. Like there needs to be more of going, I'm going to go down, I'm going to knock on a door, and I'm going to be like, hey, can we sit here for a few minutes and figure some things out? As opposed to just waiting to get in front of the camera and argue back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, now you don't even got to do it on the camera. You just post on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but and that's the thing is, I will say, like, maybe I don't want to jump the gun, but like X, Twitter, whatever, social media has kind of become the new media. And a lot of people, same thing, we kind of have a persona, if you will, or whatever. Maybe, you know, like my Bold Liberty page on Facebook was just a continuation of my campaign page. And I just post political stuff from there. If you go to like my personal Facebook page, I barely post anything from there now, like at all. I'll comment or like my friends' posts, and that's about it. All I do from there. So,
yeah, but I post stuff on Facebook, but it's pointless because then nobody gets to see it anymore. And in fact, every now and then I'll just make a post. It just says the time, and then people will come back. They're like, "Oh, I'm just now seeing it." It'd be like a week and a half later. So it's just become pointless now.
Note the time.
Before we get into the first segment, I want to thank Tub for having some black people on his part of this podcast.
Somebody has to bring a black person in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm as shocked as everybody else that's watching and listening to this that he actually knows black people other than me. And such a handsome little dude. You know, I'm proud of you in that sense.
And I live for your approval, so I appreciate that.
As you should, from my brother. This is like the first time I've ever been proud of Tub on this podcast.
Because you don't pay attention. It's not even because of anything I said or did. It was just because
just because, you know, we got some soul to soul going on. You know, I mean, I'm sure BET will pick us up now because we're doing it.
I'm the token white guy now.
Like, you're the DEI hire.
Remember on because we were just talking about In Living Color, and remember what was it? Tom and Tom. Wasn't that their names? Tom and Tom. Yeah. And like, oh no, we're the brothers. You're just a black man with a problem.
Yeah, the brothers.
And that was called Tom and Tom.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
We'll do a show. We'll be Tom and Tom.
That'll work. And to your point earlier, there's no way on God's green earth that In Living Color could air today in its entirety, because there will be people burning down government structures, Hollywood structures.
If they're going to burn down government structures, bring it back.
Yeah. So I wanted to jump into our first segment now. We're going to talk about current events before we get into the year-end wrap. But the big news now is the debt ceiling and the CR that has failed once again. And it's amazing to me that Americans think we're in a different place today than we were 2 months ago, 3 months ago with Joe Biden and whatnot. So, Eric, how do you see this playing out now that Trump and Elon's plan, or should I say Elon's and Trump's plan, has failed today?
Well, first off, I don't know that I truly believe that Elon's original goal and plan is Trump's goal and plan. I don't think Trump ever really cared about cutting spending. And you can look at his national or his last terms spending. That's a good example. And another good example of that is he was essentially trying to force the Republicans to pass increasing the debt ceiling now under Biden, because he still wants to be able to spend all that money to do all the things he wants to do. He just doesn't want the debt ceiling increase to be able to be attached to him. He wants it to happen under Biden, and then he wants to take advantage of it. Now, I think Elon is using what platform he has well right now. I don't know, but it already seems like Elon has already changed the purpose of Doge to not to be to cut government, like Vivek ran on, and how Elon has talked about the national debt, but he wants to make it more efficient. What I think Elon really wants to do is deregulate, because he wants to attack our national debt from a we need a higher GDP, we could pay down our debt, not a we need to cut spending and lower our deficit, if that makes sense. So I don't know that they're on the same page, and I think just like Trump used LP leadership as a pawn to win votes, he used Elon to win votes. But I also think Elon is probably going to get some subsidies for SpaceX. SpaceX is technically a defense contracting company because they shoot rockets in outer space that could potentially drop nuclear warheads on foreheads. So I digress. I guess that was a rant for me to make that point. Y'all probably agree. I was kind of, I don't think that, I think they're both using each other to their advantage. I'm not mad about the outcome. And I guess, Marcus, if you want to explain the outcome, or I can dabble in it. Basically, the first omnibus CR, whatever you want to call it, was 1,500 pages. Well, it got shot down, and like rhinos or, your establishment Republicans were coming out not in support. And I think that's because they see Elon does have a bully pulpit from X. He's got enough influence.
But go back to what you just said a minute ago, that part of the reason they could be saying that is really because right now, technically, it still falls under Biden.
Exactly. So they can all be like,
shut down or whatever it is. It's Biden's shutdown. It's not ours.
Yeah. Yeah. So and then on the 20th,
because it's still Biden.
Yeah. But I don't think it's going to last through the holidays. They're going to pass the spending bill before the holidays. I think if they didn't, I think that would be epic. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they got the cojones.
I don't think they're going to do it either.
Did you see Thomas Massey's video that he put out? I think he put it right on Twitter, and he shows them, hey, how like from 3 years ago, he says, hey, here's what's going to happen. He goes, they're going to drag this out, and then on the 20th of December, they're going to come and they're going to be like, hey, you can either pass this and go home, or stay here and deal with Nancy Pelosi. Is how he said it 3 years ago. And then he kind of just building on it about like, hey, you know what? He's been saying it basically every year since then, and every year he's been right, because now it's just politics. And now we all just kind of sit back and go, we know how this is going to go. But I think that part of the problem is us. The people have gotten complacent. We just kind of accept it now. We're like, yep, we know how this is going to go. And then, like earlier today, I put a thing, I said, primary them all. All of them. I don't care which one it is. I don't care if it is Massey. Primary. Let everybody have an opponent going against them. Because it's time for them to realize that at some point, we can't just keep doing this, and because now it's just a routine. It's just the way that they do it.
Well, and if they're good, if the constituents believe in Thomas Massey, he's going to win in a landslide, like he did whenever Trump got mad at him for forcing them to come back. He says he's a third-rate grandstander. I'm going to primary you out of the party, And then Thomas Massey won his primary by 60 points. Like that's a, and then the next time, or then after that, Trump had to endorse Massey because like Trump's endorsements are all about like picking winners. He wants his record. Oh, look at this guy I endorsed. I was the difference maker, the king maker. Like some people in our party have tried to pretend like they have some type of political influence. But anyways, like if they're good and Thomas Massey is good, I don't think Tubb is saying I want Thomas Massey out of Congress. I think he's saying
all the ones who deserve to be there will win.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'll win it out. But you know what the problem is, though,
I mean,
is that whoever comes,
I don't believe in that either, though, because like John Rutherford beat Mara, he got primaried, he's still in. So just because they get challenged doesn't mean they deserve to be there. Dan Crenshaw, terrible, needs to be out. But I agree, they need to be primaried. That's the thing, though, is like Elon has said he's going to primary anyone that voted yes on that first CR. I don't even know if that made it to a vote, though. I just thought they realized they didn't have the support. Did they vote on the first one or not? Does anyone know if there was a vote count?
No, there was no vote on first bill.
They basically saw they didn't have the support, so they went back to the drawing board. So now they do got votes on the second one, and it still didn't pass. I think there was like 30-something Republicans, but like almost all the Democrats voted no.
All the Democrats voted
for the new one.
A couple dozen Republicans. So
and there were some no votes too.
So here's the thing: you guys made some great points for term limits, but if I was Elon, the low-hanging fruit for Doge is corporate welfare and handouts. But I don't see where Elon, as far as budgetary items, I don't see where Elon sides with that fact. That is a no-brainer for the American people to end corporate subsidies. Because what corporate subsidies are is us paying a corporation to figure something out, and then the corporation makes all the profits from doing that. That is socialism. That is, that is not a benefit to the American people because we are paying for the research and then we are paying for the product. I don't think we would have a problem in budgetary items with the financial state of this government saying, hey, we're not going to subsidize corporate farming. Because one of the aspects of this bill that they're trying to pass right now is part of it is the farm bill. And if you know anything about farming in America right now, it's a corporate entity. It is not a family-run business. There are no families that are impacting our economy as far as providing food to your table that corporations do not run. And this is what I dislike about the American people. And I'm sorry, America, I'm about to talk some crap about you. You swing this pendulum back and forth between the left and the right. And we had these same talks, these same battles with Democrats in the debt ceiling and the budget and the CRs when the Democrats controlled the White House. And now we're having these same issues, but now the other side is saying, hey, we need to pass this stuff because this is how we keep America running. When you were a year ago, you were saying, no, we don't need to pass this stuff because it's them that's trying to add debt to the national debt. Why do Americans fall for this malarkey? I'm being sensible to tell, but why do Americans fall for this crap over and over again? Tub?
Oh,
Tub.
Yeah. So the thing is because it depends on which team they're on. And so they know that when their team's in control, they're getting the money to swing in the directions of the things that they like. And so basically when it comes back around again, it's just the other side going, well, now it's our turn. Because that's all they're really doing. They're just deciding who they want to shove their money to, who gets to appease their donors this time. That's all it is. And so what it is, and so when it swings, they don't like when the other side's doing it. Oh, I can't believe those Republicans are trying to spend all that money over there. Just last time it was you guys. And so the problem is it's my turn mentality. And I think that's what makes it swing when people go, well, I know the Dems did that, but now we're going to do this. And then the people try to tell you, I hate whataboutisms. I love to bring up whataboutisms. I'm all about like, hey, what about when y'all did this? You know, stuff along those lines. And so I think that's all it is. It's like, okay, we're being played like chumps, which I know is your complaint, that we're being played like chumps. And all it is, they're saying, okay, your turn, my turn. And we get stuck in the middle because kind of what we just said a minute ago, we won't change who we're voting for. Here's what we do. We sit back, we go, oh, Congress is a mess, but my guy's okay. And that's what everybody does. They're all a mess, but my guy's good. My guy's the good guy. You know, say everybody's guy somehow is Thomas Massey. So, and you look at it, like, no, your guy's wretched too, but they like him. So he's not bad. It's everybody else. So everybody else needs to change who they're voting for because my guy gets it right. And I've been kind of posting and having different conversations with people about how this is the problem with the federal government. It's gotten too powerful. Like I've been commenting, I said, you know what? Whoever Texas votes in shouldn't have such a big impact on me in Florida. And now we're at a point where people from other states are funding campaigns in other states because they want to keep that guy in because they know that guy over there has too much influence on their own home states. So the only way it's ever going to get fixed is when we start realizing federal government has entirely too much power and control. And until that gets into the people, we're going to stay the way that we are.
Yeah. Eric?
Slash it. You remember the scene from Parks and Rec? Anyways.
Oh, I don't. That's one of you people shows. Millennials.
Well, it is a you people show, but the character's Libertarian Ron Swanson. It's famous. Anyways, and basically I digress. Did y'all see like the Democrat leader was, and I shared it on Twitter and I said, are Democrats the fiscal conservatives now? Like, because literally he's up there talking about how, you know, that's ridiculous. How they need to get the budget under control and this, that, and the other. I don't even know exactly what it is. Like, it's like, oh, now because it's them trying to pass the bill that wasn't 1,500 pages, but it's still got a whole bunch of spending in it that you didn't agree to because it doesn't have all your pork in it or whatever. It's still got a buttload of spending. I don't even know how much they cut out of on a dollar amount. I don't know. Anybody got an answer for that? Was there even a major difference in the price tag? Probably not. It's 1,500 pages. You know what? You know what really grinds my gears? Think of the 1,500 pieces of paper given to each congressperson that was just like, never mind, just like the boxes of paper that were wasted on printing those continuing resolutions. They're like,
that contributed to global warming right there. Now, let me ask you something. Do you think the United States government, as far as budgetary things goes, needs to become halal and kosher? Because you brought up a point where it says a lot of pork. And, you know,
I was like, where's he going with this? What is he saying?
Well, you know,
it needs to be halal and kosher because we don't need any pork in our budget. And I know both of you, you know, Jesus didn't eat pork. He did not because he ate kosher and it's a forbidden meat. And I wanted to make that point for Tub right there because Tub eats pork. And
you know why? Tub, explain why we're allowed to eat pork now.
So
Christians.
So there was the vision and Acts where it was opened up and all the food was saying to them, they're like, listen, you are now free to go eat all of the things. And so, listen, the Christians took that to seriousness. Like, oh, we can have hog now? We're all good.
Oh, I can eat those psychedelic mushrooms?
Well,
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I'd like to point out some historical concepts to when Christians started eating pork, because when the Moors ruled Spain and they were Islamic, they didn't allow pork to be consumed. So after the Spanish finally got their stuff together and kicked the Moors out of Spain, they have that ham. I forgot they have this special ham It was
Spam.
it was to be spiteful more than anything about the restrictions they were put under while the Moors were in control of Spain. So that's one reason why pork became so prevalent in Western Christianity, is because it was being spiteful towards their previous rulers. I don't expect Eric or Tub to know those particular facts because
Oh,
they
I facts. You just went with some other stuff. You said you called it history. I give you biblical. You got more history. Did your history right there go deeper than mine? I think not.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bible's got a lot of history in it too.
Yeah.
Shout out, pull up that comment by that Liberty lady. Pork belly is delicious. Pull that up.
No, it's not.
I agree. Oh, wait. Marcus doesn't eat pork.
I don't eat pork.
But it's because he's got high blood pressure. There's healthy pork you can eat though.
No, it's a light skinned brown man thing because my son doesn't eat it either.
Yeah, there you go.
Weird.
You know, Western African diets, and when you look at your DNA and all that stuff and what you could process and whatnot, Western African diets did not include pork. It was mainly fish and birds back then.
Well,
there wasn't even goats.
That's also. Was there a lot of fresh water in West Africa, or is that dry like that?
No, it was West Africans were fishermen because
I mean, I know you got the salt water, the ocean, but I'm saying is there like desert? I ain't never been. Okay, it's not my motherland. I ain't never been. But
one day I'm gonna take you guys to the motherland, and we're gonna eat jollof rice.
We're gonna do a podcast episode from the Congo.
No, I'm not taking you guys there.
That's our motherland. What are you talking about?
No, I'm taking you to where you originally came from, Adam and Eve, because the Garden of Eden was in Sudan. Yeah, it was in
North Africa.
Yeah, and you know, back then it wasn't a Saharan desert. The global change by the Europeans caused it to become a desert with their colonial imperialism.
With the aqueducts and whatnot, they stole the water and pumped it somewhere else.
The Greeks and the Romans turned.
You know what? Why'd y'all let them roll up in there and mess y'all up like that? Y'all should have held it down.
We're very welcoming people, and that's where
to your own fault.
What do you mean? Maybe if you said they were very welcoming. You're not.
His ancestors were very welcoming people.
I feel like
let me ask. Okay, we'll get back on topic in a second. Let me ask both of you. When you went into the black neighborhoods in Jacksonville campaigning, weren't they very welcoming to you?
No. Well,
there you go. Because I'm speaking from what you always said before.
Honestly, they were fine, but not at. They probably looked at us. Usually, I wasn't without a black person.
Yeah, because you were probably thinking you were undercover cop.
They gotta get this guy.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. I had one stop it. Remember, there's a little kind of. I got a feeling I'm getting invaded. There's a little kind of like convenience store and hangout right up, not far from my house up here, up on Pearl Street. Eric knows what I'm talking about. So and there's always a bunch of older black guys always sitting out there. So I would keep driving by and I'm like, you know what? I'm like, one day I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna talk to them. And so I did. So one day I stopped. I'm like, I'm gonna go find out what their issues and concerns are. And I pulled up, and immediately, first thing they thought was I was cop.
Yeah.
So as I come walking up, I started talking to them. They're all kind of like just looking at me. I said, and then I'm like, guys, I'm not a cop. I said, y'all thought I was a cop, huh? And then they all started laughing because they thought I was. So yes, that very much so. Now, so once they realized I wasn't a cop, then they were kind of fine. Then they were okay with it. Yeah. But that first initial reaction, that was one part that would get us running locally. We hit into certain neighborhoods. They'd be like, I'm trying to listen to this guy. But then you still had to prove yourself to them. So they weren't like throw stuff at you. They weren't threatening. But they weren't just like, oh, come on in. We can't wait to hear more from you.
Yeah.
Hey, if you didn't get anything thrown at you or threatening, you were
not once.
I stand by my previous statement. We're very welcoming people. Now, with that being said, and me winning that particular debate, quiet Tub, we're moving on to segment 2. With January 20th, we're getting a new but old president. America, with its short-term memory, has re-elected a previously elected president in Trump. And I want to get both of you guys' perspectives on what you expect from Trump, because I will say this, and come at me if you want to. Trump is a 3-year president. He has 3 years to enact his agenda, because at about 2.5 years, everybody's going to be jockeying for position in the GOP. The Democrats are going to be doing that from January 20th forward, jockeying for position to who's going to be their candidate. I have no clue who they can run aside from Shapiro in Pennsylvania. That's the only guy the Democrats can run that will have half a chance of winning the presidency, because he's more of a moderate than a California liberal like Kamala Harris was. Gavin Newsom has no shot in HE double hockey stick of getting elected president. He's way too liberal for America. So there's going to be less drama on the what I see on the Democrat side. I don't see JD Vance as a potential Republican nominee, because he doesn't have the personality for that crap. And I want to bring up one comment before I hand it off to you guys. Tubbs a Fed boy.
Tubbs a Fed boy.
I firmly believe that, and that's why
Sorry, I need her to comment. Where is that coming from? What is that based on?
Just because
based on
thinking you're a cop
and what you say. Yeah, you look like a cop, dude.
Yeah.
If I saw Tubbs,
well, look, whenever
what do you guys got down there? Where do you guys shop? Hebe or HEB? Where do you guys shop in Jacksonville for groceries?
For one thing, we don't even have those stores you talk about.
I don't know. I'm asking you, what grocery store? Aldi.
Publix.
Aldi.
No, it's Publix. You're not an Aldi's guy. I don't see you paying a quarter to get a shopping cart, because you kind of got some Hebrew.
In all fairness, I don't like going to any grocery shopping, so I'm the wrong guy to ask. I don't do it. And most of the time, we actually just get delivered. So
I want to tell the people listening and watching here that Tubb thinks oxygen is spicy. So that's why he doesn't go to the grocery store, because
I don't even know what that. I don't even know. I don't even see what section it is. Like, you just wanted to say
I was just going to say, Tubb.
All right, so man, this show sucks. I don't know why we keep doing this.
I think Tubbs a Fed boy, because that one time I offered him a Lucy, he wouldn't take it. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow, that's real right there, dude. How you gonna turn down? Yeah. Because the guys
that never happened.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like the Training Day scene. You know what I mean? Like, you got to do the drugs. Or
all right.
So we're gonna start with Eric. What do you expect from Trump in 2025?
What do I expect is more of what he left doing, big government spending. Now, what do I hope for is that the things he promised the Libertarians, he delivers on. But I don't think any of it's going to happen. Maybe he'll free Ross. Maybe.
Yeah, who's the Libertarian in his cabinet? Didn't he say he would put a Libertarian in the cabinet?
People in our party try to say that RFK Jr. checks that box.
Hell no.
I disagree.
I disagree.
But yeah, we love Tubb. Merry Christmas. Good comment.
We don't love Tubb. We tolerate Tubb.
He's our Fed handler. He's our handler.
Marcus, some people appreciate me. Just because you are wise enough to understand it doesn't mean that everybody feels the way that you do.
This is why I love Eric. Eric gives me joy to my heart.
You heard the stuff he said about you? Oh my goodness, you wouldn't be saying that.
Tubb's not lying. No, but seriously, back on the Trump thing, what I don't know, show me something more. He's literally not even in office yet, and he's already asking Republicans to raise the debt ceiling. He's not even in, and he's like, raise the ceiling. What? Raise the debt ceiling so that I'm not blamed for it later, but I need that to be raised, because he's probably got some big government ideas. That's the weird part, is I wonder if he didn't think Vivek and Elon were serious about limited government or cutting government or making it more efficient or deregulating. And now he's kind of regretting it because it almost seems like they're stepping on his toes in a sense. Like we stirred up the hornet's nest with all the followers on Twitter, all the politically active people, and now it's turning around and biting them in the butt because they can't pass the continuing resolution. I don't know.
And $300 million they contributed to Trump. So there's that. What do you expect?
All right. So there are a lot of people suggesting that Trump's whole presidency this time around is basically lame duck because he's going to be kind of limited. Everybody knows he has no next thing. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of look at that. Now, also, you mentioned inside of there, Eric, about freeing Ross, because that's about the only thing he has left that he told the Libertarians he would give them that he actually can still act on. And I'm going to tell you it's not going to happen. I'm saying, now, do I want to be wrong? Yes. But do I think it's going to happen? I'm saying no. You know why? Because, Trump always seemed like the outsider. He's proven he's not the outsider. And so somebody's going to, as soon as he gets in, he might try to bring it up. And they're going to go, hey, and politics are going to get all involved in that one. And he's not going to do it. And it's just going to fall to the wayside. Now, what we do as Libertarian Party, I think we can address later on. Now, also, with Doge, now let's be very clear. They have no bite. They have no teeth at all. And all they can do basically is suggest things. So anything that's going to get done is going to have to basically go through Congress. And listen, we're getting continuing resolutions because they don't want to get rid of things. So there's no reason that because they come with them with, hey, it'd be nice if you got rid of this. They're not going to. They have no reason to. So this is going to be a little thing that makes people happy to hear about, but I don't think anything's going to come out of it. And then I was wondering, as you were talking, I actually wrote it down here. Have you heard Trump go out and promote Doge? I don't think I've heard him go out and be like, hey, from him lately. I haven't heard. Now maybe I'm missing something, but have any of you heard him going out and talking about this now?
I haven't heard him platforming them. Now there's a Doge caucus inside of the Congress now, but it's chaired by, I think, Aaron Bean of Florida is vice chair of it. And I mean, me and Mara talked about that on the spaces. His voting record is better than a John Rutherford or a Dan Crenshaw, but a lot of those votes are on things that didn't need his yay or no vote to go in the right direction anyways. So it's like political grandstanding. It's like, look at this way I voted on this thing. But in the crowd of the Doge caucus, there was John Rutherford sitting in the crowd. I'm like, I know if he's in the crowd, this is a wasted time. That guy's voting record's worse than Liz Cheney. He's got an F on the Liberty Report, the Freedom Works, whatever grade you look at for constitutional voting record. John Rutherford's one of the worst Republicans of all time, and he was sitting in the crowd of the Doge caucus.
Yeah,
so I mean,
I'm saying nothing's going to happen with it. It all sounds really good, but nothing's going to happen. Okay, and the thing is what will it do for Vivek? Because I think I truly believe Vivek would like to cut spending. I believe he would. I believe there's a lot of things that he said which hold real water. And I think he believes it. And I'm like, oh, now listen, is he a smoother Barack Obama? Yeah. But I think there are certain things I think he means that. And so it's going to be interesting to see that when he gets on this and nothing happens, what it does to him and his spirit and how he moves forward. Now, before I'm done talking about Trump and everything, I want to make this abundantly clear that while I am no fan of Trump for many reasons, okay, I still think he's better than Harris. I would take Trump over Harris any day.
I also would take Trump over Kamala Harris. The only difference would be if you had Kamala Harris and then a Republican House and Senate and nothing ever got done.
Gridlock, nothing happens.
But that never happens, and stuff still, and the gridlock never happens, and big spending continues regardless. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
That would be the.
I just have to say this, and forgive me, Tub.
Because he's black, he would have had to vote for Kamala Harris.
No. I think voting between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump is like choosing a bowl of hot shit soup and a cold shit sandwich. That's what I think choosing between the two of those choices are, because Trump enacted more debt upon this nation in 4 years than Obama did in 8. And Kamala Harris is a tool of the Democratic Party. She is an empty suit that her voice was like excuse me, nails on the chalkboard. Whenever I listened to Kamala, I was like, damn, I wish I could rip my ears off my head, shove them in my mouth, and chew them incessantly. I could not stand her voice or anything she had to say. But when I look at Trump, I'm like, how stupid do you have to be to believe his BS? Because I just couldn't do it.
Now, here's the thing. Watch, I'm going to say something that libertarians don't like to hear. Okay, so the deficit and end the Fed. Okay, listen, libertarians will talk about those things forever, all day. Most people going up don't care. They don't understand how this really affects them. So they let it ride. Most people, if you go out and just talk to, especially like if you're running for office and stuff, most people don't care about that stuff. You know what they remember? Honestly, when Trump was in office, things were cheaper. Let's be honest. And that's true. Okay. And that's all they care about. They don't worry about all of that other stuff. They don't worry about things that are actually going to break this country. Like
they're associating him with good times. But what the ones that aren't paying attention to it don't realize is like his 5 trillion added to the debt in March of 2020.
It was 8 trillion.
That was after. I thought it was the whole presidency, but you might be right.
His 4 years was 8 trillion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, but in 1 month, in March of 2020, it was 5 trillion. So, like, what people aren't realizing is it takes a little, like, we're still experiencing the effects of big government spending from Trump and the increase or continuing growth of our national debt and government spending under Biden also. But they have the association, like Tubbs saying, things felt better under Trump. It's a feeling. It's not a fact. And Tubbs made the point, most people don't care. I think most people didn't care. And most people, I don't know what that is, but and most people, that's hilarious. And most people,
I'm a gay wizard.
Yeah, someone put that comment up. Maybe last. I don't know who that is.
All right, hang on. What was that? Can you bring that back up? For one thing, it's okay. He's got
congrats, bro. Can we just?
I don't even know what that means.
Can we come together? Excuse me. Can we come together as libertarians and tell him congratulations?
Congratulations. Thanks. We are celebrating you coming out of the closet as a gay little wizard. Whatever. That's funny. Is that a me because I'm wearing this hat? Or I feel like I'm more like would be a gnome. I don't know. Anyways.
Well, there's one thing. I'm sorry, Eric. Trump has brought up national reciprocity. I'm sorry. I clearly said I'm sorry. Trump has brought up national reciprocity again. And his
it's a good thing.
It is a great thing.
Yeah, but hold on. Okay.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So,
but
hold on. I actually got something that speaks to that. Okay, and once I heard this, I go, man, I'm glad somebody's talking about this. Okay, so here's what's happening. So next month, I'm going up to Connecticut for a couple days. So I know that Connecticut offers a temporary concealed carry permit because they have no reciprocity with Florida. In fact, they have reciprocity in most any of the states. And so I was like, okay, listen, I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see about getting my temporary concealed carry for while I'm there. So I finally got a hold of them. They ignored it at first. I sent another email back, heard back from them. They said it will take 5 months to get it approved. 5 months.
And you're
And
going to
I
be there
go,
for a couple days.
yes.
You're like, I just take my
So, like,
chances, and if I get arrested, I get arrested.
well,
That's the same thing because my son goes to school in New York.
Feds are watching this.
Yeah. And if I was to get a New York pistol permit, it takes 5 to 6 months. If I brought my pistol, which I have traveled with it before, to another state into New York, I risk giving myself 10 years in prison for wanting to be able. And I'm not talking about carrying it around the streets of New York. I'm talking about having it in my hotel room in case ish hits the fan or somebody tries to kick down my door. I'm not trying to go out there and go to a bodega and get a chopped cheese or anything with my 45 Glock 21 SF on my hip. Simply bringing it into the state of New York can get me 10 years of prison.
Crazy.
And they had that national reciprocity passed the House in 2017, I believe it was, or 2018. No, it was 2017 because it died in the next Congress because Mitch McConnell would not bring it to the floor. Trump didn't push him to bring it to the floor, and it never got past the House after it passed the House with a decent majority to even become a bill in committee in the Senate. And again, Americans are wondering real Americans. I'm not talking about these duopoly Americans or these uniparty Americans, but real Americans that believe in liberty, like myself, the only real libertarian, and you two to a lesser degree, because you'll never be up to par with me as far as liberty goes.
You're just rambling. All right, I'm going to cut you off here. I'm just kidding. So I have a question about the national reciprocity. It would have to be a law, right? Or could he at least make it? He could pass an executive order saying, "Hey, the feds aren't going to come after you over this. It's a state issue," and then you're back to certain. That's the way it is now.
No, it's a 100% Fed issue because it's just like your driver's license in North Carolina is good in Florida. Your driver's license in Florida is good in California. That's what reciprocity is for concealed carry.
But is he using an executive order and saying, you get what I'm saying? Though,
yeah,
the law gets passed, it's got to go through Congress. They don't have 60% to pass it through Congress or
well, they
Senate. Whatever they need. They don't got the.
There's ways to get around that 60, that filibuster proof to get it to the floor for a vote. There's ways because they're already talking about how they're going to use that particular procedure to extend the tax cuts. So they could have did this back in 2017. They did not. And now they're feeding Americans free Ross, national reciprocity. I wanted to bring up something as far as the debt ceiling thing goes, what Trump talked about his mass deportation. I don't think Americans understand the cost behind the government rounding up people and sending them back to their countries of origin, because that is in the billions of dollars that you're talking about. And this has been done before, shortly after World War II. And I hope they don't censor us, but this is what it was called. It was called Operation Wetback. And no joke, the U.S. government
Marcus is married to a Hispanic lady, so he gets a pass.
So he can say it.
I get the W word pass, but that's what the government called it. That's not what Marcus called it. That's what the government called it. And they rounded up people of Hispanic descent, regardless of their status, and sent them to Mexico on trains and buses. I don't know how you round up 11 to 15 million people.
I got a plan.
I'm sure you do.
I got a plan. No, I legit have a plan.
Yeah, but hold on a second. Oh. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you too. No, this is the last show of the year. We're not coming back till January.
We may never come back.
Now I want to thank Allah Almighty. I want to thank Allah that I don't have to see Tubbs' face for the remainder of this year. Eric to a lesser degree, but I don't think Americans truly understand the cost associated, because they always want to talk about the debt ceiling when the Democrats are in charge, or debt when Democrats are in charge. But when they get their personal stuff, we don't have to worry about spending.
I'm going to
go. Well, that's what
I'm going to go on the other side of this, though. You see, when people make the argument of you don't know how it's just going to cost to round them up, we're already spending billions to support them here. So let's understand. At best, it becomes a wash. I think realistically, it becomes this wash. Here's the thing, though. The plan that I came up, because I am a closed borders libertarian. Okay. Now listen, it doesn't not as harsh as it sounds. I believe check in. Are you good? Come on in. Don't care. You know what I'm saying? Now here's the plan that I had, considering the situation that we are in right now. Okay. Because once again, we don't get to sit back and go, we shouldn't have all these. Okay. This is our reality now. Okay. They're here. So what I suggest is, okay, I believe you always have to close the border back off. Because if you don't, it's kind of the idea that if you have a hole in your ceiling and the water's leaking in, you fix the carpet first. Well, that's just okay. So close the border off, get it done. That's fine. Now, here's what I've suggested. Okay, for everybody who is currently in the country illegally, and I'm using that term because I truly believe they are illegal. So if they come in illegally, here's what they have, and you can move the times around. I've been saying about 18 months. You say, hey, from this date here, you have 18 months to just go check in. Hey, I'm here. I've been here all the time. I have no crimes. I'm not wanted in this country. I'm not wanted in my home country. You're good. We're good. Go about your business. Now, if you come and you check in and you committed crimes here, or you're wanted back in your home country, you're gone. Off you go. Best of luck to you. And then if you haven't checked in after in the 18-month period, and you get caught after without getting checked in, out you go. Now, you can come back through and go through the process again, and that's fine. But I think that right there would help kind of fix both sides of the issue. I think both sides could be able to kind of both win in that one.
We need to do work permits. That's my opinion on it. And I'm going to tell you why.
Because we do those now, but we don't do enough of them. We don't do enough.
We don't do enough. Because speaking on behalf of the Black delegation, we ain't picking shit. And speaking, you can speak.
Never again.
Never again. You know, to quote my Jewish brothers, never again. And to be real about this shit, Americans aren't picking anything either.
We're lazy.
European Americans, because Alabama tried to kick out all its immigrants and pass that anti-immigrant law. And there was Alabama's a major producer of tomatoes. Tomatoes were rotting on the vine because the farmers said the Americans they hired lasted no more than 2 days because it's hard work. We need to be smart about how we do immigration, and I don't disagree with Tubb whatsoever. But until you present yourself as with a process, you do have to secure the border. That's 100%. Let's not even, because we have existential threats because of American foreign policy in so many different nations, that we need to secure the border. Because I remember my best friend, retired Lieutenant Colonel in the Marine Corps. He's currently a cop. I don't like admitting that, but he did security for the Marine Corps base here near San Diego and the San Onofre nuclear plant. He said if somebody wanted to sneak a dirty bomb or nuclear device into the country, it would come through the southern border. And if they did do it, if they wanted to do it, it probably already happened because the border is so porous. But that's a game-changing event that even the terrorists understand. That changes everything, because that takes the gloves off. And that was the whole principle in the Cold War with the MAD theory, mutually assured destruction. If you do something like that, the United States is going to turn your particular plot of land into a sheet of glass. And there's no question whatsoever about that. But what Americans don't understand is we need people to do these jobs. We need people to do the jobs of America, because even the poorest American thinks they're above picking fruit. You know. Yeah.
Listen, all right, we'll see you later, Eric. Have a good night.
Bye, Eric.
So, but listen, no, you're right. Because listen, there are certain jobs like I don't want to do. I don't want any part of what they got going on. And so, but if you notice, most of the time, other countries and a number of other countries, they will allow immigrants in based on how they can better society.
Yeah.
And if you don't come in with that understanding, if you don't fill a role that they need, you don't get in right now. Like, that's the reality of it. Now, what I've always found amusing, not ha-ha, but so much as, oh my goodness, can you believe this? Go and look at the guidelines. If you want to move to Mexico from America,
yeah,
and you have to be able to financially support yourself. You have to have proof of income for up to a certain amount. You cannot own any oceanfront property. Like, they have all of these guidelines that you cannot have. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Well, you got no problem just throwing people over to our side and with no guidelines and no expectations. Mm-hmm. And so that's why it's those things where I agree with you. I'm like, okay, let's have a process, though, that doesn't take 9 years in order to make sure that you can be here. I think that's our issue. And I think that what happens, a lot of people refer to it as like an Ellis Island. You know, let's check in. And here's the thing. It doesn't have to be just at these borders. You can put them at any of most ports anywhere. And just be like, hey, as they come in to whatever, they could have one right here in Jacksonville. And be like, hey, you can put them all over the country and be like, hey, as you come in, check in. Let's know. And even if it takes, I'm not against saying, hey, it's going to take us 2 or 3 days to get you processed through here. Hang tight. We'll get you said you're on your way. Eric, welcome back.
No, before Eric chimes back in, I want to say this thing. I don't think our enemy is our neighbor to the south in Mexico. I don't think Mexicans coming to this country are enemy. And hate me for this all you want, but I think it's the Chinese that are coming to this
the Canadians. Country. You know what I mean? What are those guys up to?
Well, they're snow Mexicans. You say it right.
Those dang French. They're still, half of them are still French. Let's not forget about that.
Yeah, let's not forget. But whenever you see an espionage case in the United States right now, it's always a Chinese national working for a defense contractor or flying drones over a military base. Everybody likes to look at the South as a scapegoat, the Mexicans as a scapegoat. But our true threat, as far as immigration goes, is from China. And I don't understand how Trump just ignores that fact. China.
Well, he doesn't. He beat the China drum for 4 years. You know what I mean? But China is more of a like economic challenge or superpower, and you've made that point. Like, so many of the raw minerals and everything we do, we reference the drugs, cost of drugs with Anthony Welty's episode. Like, all the base ingredients, the minerals and all that is in China. Same thing with a lot of the whatever computer chips, right?
All of our manufacturing base
in China. And all the cobalt for batteries for all our electric vehicles. Well, it's China, it's Russia, and Ukraine. Well, look who's in the news right now. Why are we trying a proxy war in Ukraine? Anyways, I digress. We're getting off topic there. Keep your eye on those dang Canadians. That's what I say.
Yeah, I say watch the Canadians and watch the Chinese, because the Chinese are coming through Canada. And what's interesting is this week in California, there was a Chinese national that was sentenced for running a fraternity tourism business here in Southern California. So what they were doing is they were bringing in pregnant Chinese women, providing them, and they were charging them like $40,000 to $60,000. They were coming in 3-4 months pregnant, staying their whole gestation period here in Southern California, giving birth to their children, and then going back to China with that child being an American citizen. They were also showing you how you can get welfare benefits.
That's crazy.
But the thing about it is that child automatically becomes an American citizen. And when they come back, they can wait 10 to 12 years. I forgot how long it was. It might be shorter than that. But they can bring their entire family back with them under American law, and their family becomes American citizens. These are communists. You know, Mexicans aren't communists. Mexicans bring some of the finest women on earth to this country, as well as burritos.
And Americanized tacos and fajitas.
But if you don't like a burrito, I don't like you.
For real.
I like a burrito.
Simple. Dude, I love burritos.
I can't trust you if you don't like a burrito.
No, not at all.
I have said, in all honesty, Mexicans, some of the Central Americans, sometimes they're the nicest people you meet. Honestly, I've said that. Like, if you go into a store and they're around, they're always friendly, always polite. They're perfectly fine. You never have issues with them.
Now, other people like the Canadians.
Yeah, what's your opinion about Chinese people?
I'm afraid to fight them.
They are smart. So okay. I will say,
none of this was in the program plan. I want to make that very clear. Before we got on, we said, okay, here are the things we're going to discuss. And none of them said, hey, Tub, are you afraid of people?
So I just want you to raise your hand if you don't like Chinese communists. I'm going to go first.
I mean, I don't like any communists.
Raise your hand if you don't like
right over there. They can be.
If you could leave out the Chinese, you know who's worse than Chinese communists? American communists.
American ones.
Because they're already here.
Did this just become a nationalist podcast? Did we just
close the border, shut it down. It can't be a white nationalist podcast because Marcus runs it, but you know.
Well, you know, I'd like to extend the grip of authority to both of you, but I'm afraid that you're just gonna do what you did to Africa and
first off, I didn't do anything there. I've never been there.
I like to
my wife's 1.9% sub-Saharan African. Okay, so
that's pretty impressive. Being below the average, which is like 2%. So,
hey, Marcus, have you ever spoken any Swahili? Because my wife has.
Yes, it is. It is one of those things. Black parents teach it. I've spoken Swahili. I've spoken Ubuntu. And as well
Hakuna Matata, brother. Yeah. Hakuna Matata.
We just say stuff, but we're so white we don't know the difference. We're like, oh
no, that's
great. I'm glad.
I just made up that word Ubuntu right now on the spot, and you guys are like, oh wow, I'm impressed.
He's just saying stuff, and we don't know any better. Man,
yeah, you know that's the beautiful thing about being black. We can say stuff, and you're like,
he says stuff.
Is that Ebonics? I don't know.
Yeah, because we know so much about your history, and you know nothing about ours.
I know.
We're going to talk about the LP in 2025.
It's going to close up shop. Next question. I'm just kidding.
I choked up about
today. We're negative in money right now. I saw a post today.
What?
I haven't been on social media much lately, but I did see it. I got on there real quick. I saw somebody at thing posted. We are showing the LP is showing
negative $20,000.
Wow.
Yep.
That when they ended I've tried making a joke about it, and Hector ruined the joke, but I can't stand him anyways. But because I was saying so I shared one post on Twitter saying the Libertarian Party is no longer fiscally conservative, and I said they're negative $20,000 in debt. You're not fiscally conservative if you're in debt. That's me. And a lot of people are like, well, you've never ran a business, you got to spend money to make money. I was like, well, that's not the way I live. The borrower is slave to the lender. It's in the Bible. You know what I mean? So I try to live my life that way. And I don't think our party should be in debt whenever you don't have enough money to help out your presidential candidate. So I made a post. So I shared that post that essentially, you know, they're $20,000 debt. And then I shared this. The very next post was the Democrat guy saying, look, this is it right here. Hold on. Listen to this.
Are going to defend them.
Hold on, listen. He says,
when you run up the debt and the deficit, middle class families pay, working class families pay, and we are going to defend them.
So that's the leader of the Democrat Party saying that. So I basically said Libertarian Party is no longer fiscally conservative. Then I shared that and said, are the Democrats now fiscally conservative? And then I was just trying to make like that's where we're at. We're in upside down world or whatever. You know what I mean? What is going on?
We're in clown world. Everything is clown because
oh,
we don't know who uses what bathroom. We don't know what deficits and deficit spending is. We don't know where we stand on liberty. This is all a clown world that has turned the movie Idiocracy into a documentary. This is because we have one more choice than we have in North Korea. And Americans are afraid to step outside of those boundaries of the duopoly because they're so comfortable with hating their fellow American for disagreeing with them on some social issue that has nothing to do with their life. I've raised 2 kids. Both of them are in college now. Neither one of them has been indoctrinated into a liberal ideology. Neither one of them believes Trump is the answer to all of their problems. They believe, both of my kids firmly believe, I have to chart my own path forward because I am responsible for myself. If you are not raising your kids to believe in that principle, if you are not, the only thing you are responsible for in this society is yourself and the people you bring into this world. You are not responsible for your neighbor, and your neighbor is not responsible for you. And that's what sucks about being a libertarian right now, because we cannot convey that message to the masses that the number one minority in this country is the individual. And without you, people, I'm here in liberal Southern California. The people that live behind me, catty corner, is a lesbian couple. And I like to use them as an example.
Do they know you have this podcast?
Yes.
Are they watching?
She's the president.
They are your token lesbians in your life?
Yeah. And I like to use them as an example. I've raised my kids here. My youngest child is 20 years old for 20 years. And they had no influence on my child's decision-making or life or how they want to proceed forward. Why? Because I taught them to think independently. And there should be no one influencing you in such a manner where you cannot think about all the aspects of a conversation without coming to a logical conclusion that, does this harm me? That's all you need to worry about. Because whether you're looking at it from a Christian perspective, does this harm my soul? You can speak to people, and I appreciate Tub. I really dislike saying this right now. I want to give you a compliment.
Okay, give it.
You are one of the, this is a struggle, so just bear with
Marcus
me.
Marcus is getting choked up, trying to not cry. That's what's going on.
I need to gather myself where I'm saying,
You're gonna make me cry, Marcus.
I grew up in the Baptist church. My dad was the deacon, and in Baptist church, you're going to hell at 3 to 5 years old. As soon as you can understand the concept of hell, in the Southern Baptist church, my parents are from Alabama, you're going to hell. Tub is one of the, if not one of the only Christians that struck me as a true Christian, because he understands we have our flaws, and that's not a death penalty issue. That we can come as we are and still be a son of or daughter of God, and go forward in life and do the right thing. And that's why I respect Tub as a libertarian, because he expands upon that and how he comes because Jesus said, "Come as you are," and that doesn't mean you come as a murderer or a thief. That means you come as a sinner looking for repentance and looking for another way forward in your life and to do better. I'm not excusing those people who do wrong. I'm offering a path to those who do wrong and see the wisdom of their failures, because that's what life is, seeing the wisdom. And you in baseball, oh, because I coach baseball, you fail 70% of the time when you're at bat. And if you succeed 30%, there is no prospect in life professionally, economically, where you fail 70% of the time and still come back to work the next day. You don't do that. other than a weatherman. A weatherman is wrong 40% of the time and they still come back to work the next day. If you're an Amazon driver and you drop off your deliveries 70% at the wrong address, they're gonna be like, hey, yo, bro, you're fired.
I don't know. Congress, if you're in Congress, you could fail.
Referring to the future of the Libertarian Party, or no? Like, is there?
Yeah.
I just think no. That's 100% no. Because Angela failed 90% of this election cycle. Angela,
I think the only way was that the question. The future of the Libertarian Party.
Yeah.
The only way it's saved. The only way it's saved is if the people who care about it get involved, and they get involved at their state party and they become a delegate to the next national convention and they vote for better leadership. But I don't know that there's any. I think I heard the vice chair resigned. Did y'all hear that?
No, I didn't.
From the Libertarian Party, I think I heard at the last EC, the vice chair of the Libertarian Party National Committee, Executive Committee, whatever, resigned over all the shenanigans. Probably saw $20,000 in debt, and you were supposed to be using Kennedy to make money. You know what I mean? Like, I
have one last thing to say, and I'm gonna hand this off to Tub on his theory on the Libertarian Party in 2025. I think the only way the Libertarian Party goes forward is if in 2028. Oh, what happened? If
you pissed him off, man.
Justin Amash is the candidate in 2028. That's the only way I see the Libertarian Party going forward, because if we look at what happened with Gary Johnson, who got 4.3 million votes, Joe Jorgensen that got 1.3 million votes, Chase got less than 600,000 votes. That is the only way. We need a national candidate that speaks to the national issues. That is the only way we go forward as a Libertarian Party in 2025, is we start elevating candidates like Justin Amash, because we need national names. And God bless Chase, Oliver,
and all the other candidates that ran.
They were all infinitely better than the duopoly choices.
My problem is we got to get the party on the right track. And I don't know if you want to check backstage to see if Tubbs back or not, but we got to get the party on the right track before it's time to be worried about our presidential candidate. And because if we don't know if and I don't blame him, Justin Amash isn't going to hitch himself to this wagon or hitch his wagon to us, or however that works. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to be willing to be associated with an unprofessional organization. It's that simple. We gotta get our crap together and start playing, playing in the big leagues first. And I don't mean run in a national big campaign. I mean, start fundraising, get our messaging, make it bold, but make it professional. You know what I mean? Quit. I don't know, being a bunch of lunatics. Have you I don't know. I don't follow the GOP, but do you notice their Twitter account? Not that I'm saying we should be that way, but they don't ever post weird random tweets. They post their successes.
Right? I beg to differ, because they are weird and random. All Democrats and Republicans are weird and random.
Well, I mean the party Twitter account. I don't follow it, so I don't know. But I'm just saying, we gotta start playing in the big leagues. It's probably gonna start with new leadership, better organization. I like what the Mises Caucus used to say about focusing local, but they're not. I don't know. They're not winning. And I take some blame for that. I didn't win my election either. But like, what are you doing when you say you're focusing on local elections? Are you helping them fundraise?
I'm no longer about the local, mantra, because that was one of the things I agree with Spike Cohen with. We need to demonstrate we can govern local. We can't even get to the stage where people respect us nationally, and I think that's where we have to be. I am the inverse of the go local as of this last election cycle, strictly because going local, we did have some guys win, we did have some victories, but at the same time, we weren't in the national conversation. We were not. The Green Party got more national coverage than the Libertarian Party this election cycle, and that's the leadership.
I agree. I also feel like, and this is a conspiracy theory, I got to change out my Christmas hat for my tinfoil hat, but I think that the leadership currently in office didn't want a viable candidate this time because they didn't want to steal votes from Trump. And Justin Amash could have stole votes from both sides. I mean, and he talked about this, how when he was in Congress, it was actually a swing district before it got redistricted before he left. It was like moderate, you know what I mean? It could have been red, could have been blue, and he won it 10 years, 5 elections in a row. Not in a landslide, but very like it wasn't close either. You know what I mean? So Justin Amash could, and I think when he ran for Republican, if Trump wouldn't endorse Mike Rogers and Justin Amash would have won the Republican seat, he would be the senator in Michigan right now, because he has shown, even though he is a principled limited government libertarian or liberty Republican, whatever you want to call it, he respects other people's opinion. He'll hear them out, but he's not necessarily going to vote for what they want. He's not going to vote for big government, but he does care about making our government run how the founding fathers envisioned it. You know what I mean? And he believes in the Constitution. So that's where he like, look, he's not a rude a-hole at all. You know what I mean? And he's professional. And that I agree. Like, look, Justin Amash was the top of my dream top 3. I had Justin Amash, Spike Cohen, Larry Sharp was my top 3 candidates if I had a choice. And none of them, well, Larry Sharp got in to help Lars, and he could have been a vice presidential candidate if the man Lars would have won. And I think a lot of people now realize Lars should have been the guy, mainly because he had a lot of money, but also because I feel like Lars could have bridged that moderate gap, that gap in between where you steal from both sides. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. I thought after Chase's performance in the Georgia Senate race, I thought he had a decent chance to go forward. But I will credit the Republicans for this. They used the wedge issues of sexuality and cultural wars to an extreme advantage, specifically with young white voters, young white male voters, because we saw a steep decline in Democratic voters in this last election cycle. They didn't come out because they were not excited, because it's similar to what Hillary Clinton did in 2016, where they didn't allow Bernie Sanders a half a chance to win the nomination. It was that in itself, when Democrats saying, no, you're voting for this person, I think that turned off a lot of voters because they didn't have a due process like the Republicans had. And I'm not saying the Republicans had a due process in the sense that Trump just bullied his way into the nomination, because I liked what's his name, the governor from Arkansas,
actual governor or the governor candidate?
The previous governor of Arkansas, not the Trump lady that's right there.
I don't know.
Not Sarah.
You're thinking of Arkansas? The one, but I don't know. I don't know who it was.
Yeah, the previous governor of Arkansas, I thought, and Ohio, I thought both of them were really decent Republicans that cared about America.
Yeah.
I don't believe Trump truly cares about Americans in the sense that, you know, he would have handled the pandemic a different way, not advocating for shutting down the country.
I'm just wondering. I'm wondering who. Do you mind bringing up the second to the last comment from that Liberty Lady?
Yeah, that was. Ooh, right. Which one? This one?
Yeah. How do you think Angela would have treated Lars if he was the nominee like Chase? So I think she would have tried to come up with some reason to not support him too. But the irony of that is, if Lars wanted to, he didn't need their help. He could have self-funded. He could have got the media. He was already spending money on polls. Like Lars was really going to focus in 2 states. Like he would have done a lot in some states that there are a large libertarian presence. But I think he would have focused on, was it Nebraska and Maine, the ones that have the split vote. That was his whole strategy. So Angela, no offense, like the Libertarian Party is could have an operating budget or whatever, a machine of about $5 million. Lars is worth more than the Libertarian Party, basically, if that makes sense. So Lars could have just been like, put the money on it. You know what I mean?
So when I paid my dues to the Libertarian Party, what was that going towards? I mean, what did I pay for? Angela to pay her electricity bill and eat ribeye steaks, or what?
I don't know what. I mean, I guess you could talk to the treasurer, the secretary, maybe, and they could get it to you. Or I don't. I mean, they say it goes to a lot of things. They do have like a lease on an office in DC, and there are costs to do advertising, and they've said they got money for all these things. Apparently, it went for a lot of ballot access issues. There are states where we have to essentially pay to get our candidates on the ballot. So that could be where a lot of the money went. But I say if we got serious, we could solve the ballot access problems. And that's one thing that Lars and his voter bill of rights and all that was planning on working on. So.
Word. Okay. So I'm not sure what happened to Tub.
I don't know. I texted him. I think maybe his phone died. Don't know. I texted him in the group, said, Tub, what happened? He didn't answer. So that's I guess
Jacksonville, Florida stuff. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I hope they're fine. I don't know what happened. I don't feel. I'm thinking maybe his phone died or he lost Wi-Fi. Lost signal or something. I don't know.
Who knows? Maybe because
they're next segment.
Next. All right. So I'm gonna ask you, what are your goals? This is the final segment. What are your goals for 2025 in the Libertarian Party? Assuming you're not giving up on the Libertarian Party.
I haven't given up on them yet. I'm the new candidate coordinator for the Libertarian Party in North Carolina. And I want to, if anyone is interested in helping me raise money for candidate training for candidates in the state of North Carolina, I'm going to reach out to some organizations that offer candidate training and see if they can come do. I wanted to do 3 different training sessions, one near the beaches, one central where I'm at now, and one in the mountains. And then that way people from those regions of North Carolina could go to the candidate trainings if you're interested in running for office in 2025. So if that's something you're interested in helping with, go to lpnc.org, hit donate. I think you can put in the comments and say what you want your money to go to, and just say you want the money to go to candidate training. That's what I'm trying to figure out a way to raise money for candidate training and for libertarian candidates, registered libertarians in North Carolina. I might, if the party's open to it, make a be able to do it for unaffiliated voters that caucus with the Libertarian Party, because we have some of those. I don't know if they'll do that or not, but we'll see. And a lot of the races I'm hoping we run candidates in are probably going to be nonpartisan local elections. At 2025 is kind of an off year, then we'll see what we could do. I want us to win some elections. So that's my goal, is to work on that here in the state of North Carolina. I want to keep doing this podcast thing, get us some great guests. Let's keep that one I mentioned earlier under wraps for a little while till, we get it on the schedule, but that's going to be huge. And I'm doing spaces on my Twitter with Mara Macy. She's a Republican out of Florida, and we've kind of been attacking the Uniparty from two different angles. But I'm still registered Libertarian. I still support Libertarian candidates. I want to see good grassroots people, regardless of political party, win. If you stand for limited government, economic freedom, and individual liberty, you're an ally. But that's it.
Dude, that was awesome. I'm 100% behind you, and we're gonna get this thing done, because going into 2025, the Black Powder podcast is going to be more influential than Elon Musk.
Let's get it. Maybe not as rich.
We'll never be that rich, but we're gonna, we're libertarians, we're capitalists. We believe this enterprise can, fund us to spread the word of liberty. And last year I said I wanted to expand the libertarian message to Black people, and I tried doing that, and I was met with absolute hate and trying to do that, because the Democratic Party was so ingrained into the culture. They felt like I was coming at them like a Republican, and you got to be honest with everybody. Black people do not like Republicans, and the percentage of about 70 to 80% of Black people do not like Republicans. Trump got a little bit more of the Black vote this election cycle. If you consider 20% of Black people a larger vote. The fact of the matter is that if you have a great message and you can't get the vote, you don't have a great message. And that's where I think the Libertarian Party is lacking, because we've taken this hard lurch to the right and supporting Donald Trump. Black people do not, as a whole, do not like Donald Trump. And that's the fact of the matter. That is not my personal opinion. That's just the numbers. And Black people as a whole do not like Republicans. And my general theory why is because they assault, what's the word I'm looking for?
Sold out?
No. They
kiss the ring, bend the knee.
I'm sorry, America, but they associate. That's the word I'm looking for. They associate Republicans with authority figures like police and teachers that treated them wrong, the principals that treated them wrong, basic authority figures. That's who they associate. Black people associate those people with Republicans, and that doesn't sell them on the Republican message. And for Black people to continuously vote for Democrats who have kept them in the spaces that they're in economically and socially as a means to move their party forward by getting your vote and not doing anything to fix the problems. Because if any politician fixed any problem, they wouldn't have anything to run on. And that's what I try to tell Black people is, look at your condition and look at who you vote for and how they improved your condition. And I tell them, you can't look for an improvement in condition from Republicans. And I think a lot of them are going to find that out real quick, because Trump only has technically 3 years of a presidency, because his 4th year, there's going to be declared nominees for the Republican Party and declared nominees for the Democratic Party, and they're going to get the news cycle, and they're going to be the ones who get all the attention to Trump's probably. He's probably going to be upset about that because he's a narcissist. But only thing I would ask in 2025 from my fellow Americans, if you truly want liberty, if you truly want to expand liberty and the message of liberty and actual liberty, follow the Black Powder podcast, share this content so Black Americans, white Americans, Asian Americans, Latino Americans, all Americans can understand that we do have a choice. Even if Angela does not bring that forward, and if you don't know who I'm talking about the chair of the Libertarian Party. I have no empathy or respect for her whatsoever because she ruined a grand opportunity to move this party forward in this election cycle and did not focus the resources to do so by expressing the message of liberty. There is no liberty in the duopoly. The duopoly brought you the Patriot Act, NDAA, and all those other aspects of the federal government that spies on you and records your phone calls and your license plates and all of that other stuff. If you really want liberty, you have to fight for liberty. Nothing in this country was ever, unfortunately, no right in this country was ever ceded by the government. It took a fight. Now, I'm not advocating for violence, but that's how this country came into being, was with violence. And I'm going to say something that should not be construed in the wrong way. But politicians need to govern like their life depends on it. Because when this country was founded, it was founded by people being tarred and feathered. It was founded by people who were considered terrorists by the powers that be. And you're not going to be free until you reject the status quo. And the status quo does not exist here on the Black Powder podcast. And you need to watch the Black Powder podcast. You need to share the Black Powder podcast so we can move this country forward, because this is the only true libertarian podcast. And in 2025, we're becoming radicalized in that we are rejecting the duopoly and the uniparty message. And we are moving forward with liberty and justice and the NAP, non-aggression principle, for all humans on this planet. And with that, I would like to ask Eric, do you have anything to say going out?
Blame Canada. Can I bring that up again, man? What are they doing?
Yeah.
Man, it's been a fun. Have I been on here for a whole year yet? I guess so. Yeah.
Yo, what the heck's going on with my co-host? I got Tub. Okay, Eric, you back?
Tub coming back. I'm here.
All right. So I want to wish. No, I don't think so, because we're done, dude. We're like an hour and 30 minutes.
I thought you were saying, "Yo, where's my co-host?" I thought, "What's going on?"
Yeah, because you paused. There was a delay.
Glitch.
Yeah, you had a glitch.
My bad.
I want to tell everybody Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We'll see you.
Did you hear me though?
No.
I've been on the show officially over a year, right? Like I have no idea.
I have no idea. It's all been a blur to me.
Yeah, man, this year went by fast. Thanks to that Liberty Lady holding it down, Joe Hanoush, all the other people that were in the comments. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Follow all the things. Everyone go follow Marcus on Twitter or X, because I don't know where his followers at. But he's got to get them followers up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's keep doing this thing.
I want to thank everybody this year that has been supportive, especially that Liberty Lady and Joe I want to thank both of you guys for staying in here. We typically get a lot of more views after the live. We do that. We're reaching. I don't think people should be shocked to hear this, but we're reaching 3 to 4 million people a month on the Black Powder podcast via reels or memes and whatnot. This is not a enterprise that we're taking lightly. We're actually trying to show people that Americans from multiple facets of life, we're here to spread the message of liberty because we're losing it, and we're losing it under Democrats and Republicans. And you need to understand that we're all in the same line. So if you see your fellow American being the victim of misjustice by the government, that doesn't mean that can't happen to you. And that's a simple message that you guys need to understand. We're all in the same line. And that pendulum of the duopoly swings back and forth. And one day it may come for you. So if you don't defend the liberty of the person you view as an enemy, you're not defending your own liberty. And so with that, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And Eric, do you have anything, the last words?
No.
All right.
You know.
Yeah, I got you. So with that being said, and unfortunately, I didn't end our last podcast with this message, but I want to say this to the second power: live free
or die.
This is the Black Powder Podcast.